I ignored my destiny once. I cannot do that again. Even for you. I'm the only one who knows that. At least I'm the only one with the will to act on it.
The Mad Titan Podcast with your host, Jay Washington.
What's happening, everybody? It's me, your resident supervillain, Mr. Jay Washington, here with episode 10 of the Mad Titan Podcast. How y'all feeling, man? I know you're getting this a little bit late, but everything has been kind of hectic over the past week. We already know what one of the main things has been, and we will definitely get into it later on. I got a chance to sit down with Thom Tran of the Sex, Jokes, and Rock and Roll podcast, as well as comic Jose Sarduy. So we went into a real big reflection of the life legacy of the man that is the Titan of comics, Mr. Stan Lee, who passed away on Monday. So we'll definitely discuss that later. I wanted to have a segment dedicated to it, and it wasn't all sad and just, down and so much as a tribute and not a memorial, but a celebration of his life, man. There's so much. I mean, it's not a lot of Marvel news aside what happened with that. Let me get right into. I mean, my past week, work, shows, normal stuff. I got stuff coming up. I'll get into that. With Marvel news, we do have an official runtime for Avengers 4, y'all. Avengers 4 is set to run 3 whole hours. Here's the thing: if that movie is gonna be 3 hours officially, you better give me a goddamn intermission. I know Avengers Infinity War was 2:42, and you're like, what's another 28 minutes? That is 28 minutes, potentially I might have to go hold my piss. And I don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to have to be worried about getting a bladder infection because I don't want to miss a possible good-ass scene. The only way I would get up now from Avengers Infinity War is now that I've seen it at least 3-4 times. I know I won't miss anything. I mean, anything I've seen before, I can go back and see again, if that makes sense. But I ain't trying to sit in no goddamn theater 3 hours straight. That's neither here nor there. People will love it. Speaking of which, there's new promo for Avengers 4, which shows them in the Quantum Realm suit. So we're definitely going to get a lot of the Quantum Realm. Is going to be focused heavy, which means pretty much Ant-Man is going to be somewhat the star of this movie. Going to be the focal point of Avengers 4. I ain't got no problem with it. Shit, I'm cool with Paul Rudd doing what he got to do. He's been great in Ant-Man and the Wasp. He's been great in Civil War. I don't know why people don't give the Ant-Man series that much credit. Granted, Ant-Man and the Wasp was the immediate follow-up to Avengers Infinity War. So you had this high-ass bar, and that bar couldn't be followed by Ant-Man and the Wasp. But shit, Walton Goggins is my spirit animal. So him and Sonny Birch, I was cool. Captain Marvel, which drops March of next year, y'all. We officially know the year in which Captain Marvel is going to be set. Now, we knew that it was in the 90s. So that's a nice little span. That's 10 fucking years. You know what I'm saying? 1990, 91, 92, 93. Y'all know how to do the math. Some of the clues potentially were the blockbuster video, but now it's been officially released. I think it was due to the international trailer that we know that Captain Marvel will be set in the year of 1995. So 15, I was 15 at the time. I'm dating myself. I still hadn't gotten laid for the first time. You know what I'm saying? I was hoping and dreaming to get some. And we knew it was going to come around soon, but it hadn't happened at that moment. But nonetheless, it's going to happen for me. And it does. It does happen because I ended up having babies. Well, I didn't have them. I ended up helping producing babies. But yeah, 1995 is not bad at all. It's not bad at all. I'm cool with it. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see more about the film. I don't think... My concern is that we'll probably get a Captain Marvel promo soon or teaser, but I really don't. I mean, we'll get the Avengers 4 teaser, and then we got to turn around and wait for Captain Marvel, and it's like, yo, that might not. I don't know. That might not be the best bet. This is just me personal. This is just me being personal about it. Also, what else is there in Marvel news that I want to talk to you about? I know I got one story, but I want to see if I have another story I want to talk about yet before I go into that. Oh yeah, So, Venom, I have to talk about this again. Venom is still making dough. There's no doubt about it. Venom is a theatrical audience hit. You know, no matter how much critics and movie reviewers and those who are critical of the success of the comic book movies have said their opinion on it, fans want to go see it. Venom opened up to $111 million in China. Now, I'm one of them dudes that's like, yo, y'all know what China does with Transformers films. That's why we keep fucking getting them. China is always a big box office market for any movie studio anyway with a big action-packed film. So it's not surprising. It's not surprising at all that fucking it's opening to a high number. If you thought it was going to open to something low, you set yourself up for failure pretty much. Like, that's just unnecessary. All right. Let's get into some. That's all the Marvel news I pretty much have. The big Marvel news, of course, like I said, I'll get to it after I break everything down. We'll have a nice little, it's about a half an hour, 45-minute tribute. We'll get to it. The DC news, man. Black Lightning Season 2 has already been off the meter. Black Lightning has added Power Rangers star R.J. Cyler in a key recurring role. He will be playing Todd Green, a tech analyst who doesn't like the way things are going for him, and he will end up probably joining Tobias well. So to see Todd Green, I want to see how that works out, man. RJ is one of my homies. He's a homie's homie, so we got a chance to meet and hang out before. So I'm interested to see how that goes for him. This season has been adding so many more amazing guest stars and reoccurring characters. Again, Robert Townsend, Bill Duke, Erica Alexander. You had Angela Rye in the first episode, Roland Martin. It's just so many people being added to this, and you can't get mad at all about it. All right. We also, in some other DC news, we officially may have our Cassandra Cain for Birds of Prey. Newcomer Ella Joy. I just had her last name. I have all this stuff written down, and it's on different screens on my computer, and it keeps going away. Ella J. Basco is in negotiations currently for the role of Cassandra Cain for Birds of Prey, which would pretty much round out the cast. All right, you got Margot Robbie returning as Harley Quinn. Hopefully, she figure out what fucking accent she's gonna have. You've got Mary Elizabeth Winstead as the Huntress, Helena Bertinelli. You got Journey Smollett Bell as the Black Canary. You've got Mary Elizabeth Winstead as ex-boyfriend, Ewan McGregor as Black Mask, who's the main villain. You've got Rosie Perez as Renee Montoya. So I'm liking how this is lining up. I'm liking how this is shaping up. It is getting very, very interesting. Again, Kathy Yan is directing it. She said tentatively it's going to be an R-rated film. We'll see how that shit goes. Because I hope DC isn't just trying to be R for the sake of being R, being like, oh, Marvel was able to put out R films. Don't nobody want to deal with that shit. Don't nobody want to deal with that. We've been getting a lot of promos for the ELSEWORLDS crossover, and now we just recently got one to see Barry Allen take up the mantle and the life of Oliver Queen. Yo, there was one previous where you saw Oliver Queen. He is now married to Iris West, and he was looking confused as shit. So it's like, I don't know if we're getting another Dominators type angle where it's some mental thing that's happening and it's changing their lives and seeing wherever that's going. But who the fuck knows? We got our first trailer for the fifth and final season of Gotham. That's all I got to say about that shit. We got a trailer for it. I don't care about Gotham anymore. I don't know what they're expecting to get out of it, because they're like, oh, we added Bane, and Bane looks like an S&M cosplay gone bad. I don't know. I just want to let it go. I just want to let it go. Let's break down some of the TV shows. I didn't get a chance to see The Gifted this week, but I will catch up on it. Let's go over to Supergirl. I have not watched it because it's been the same thing. Not really been a fan of this season, all right? I'm sorry to tell y'all that. Arrow has gotten better. We officially have found out who the demon is, and the demon is Talia al Ghul. That was news I also had I meant to mention. When it comes to Arrow, Malcolm Merlin will be returning for season 7. Now, since I just mentioned that the demon, which we've been trying to figure out who that was in the prison and Slab side, is now Talia al Ghul, it beckons the question of what is Malcolm Merlin doing in the show. I'm now hoping he is not just in fucking flash forwards, because It's a waste. It's a waste. It's just a waste. I don't want to deal with that. But nonetheless, Oliver was sent on level 2. He's been doing the test, if you saw in the previous weeks. Come to find out, when Felicity goes to visit Oliver, Oliver can't get any visitors because he's on level 2. And she does some research and digging along with the help of Laurel and find out that level 2 don't exist. The doctor is bogus, and they basically expose. But when dude gets fired and he's about to leave his job, Talia kills the shit out of him. And that is an Al Ghul for you. That is an Al Ghul for you, y'all. Oliver is back on level 1, serving out his sentence. I don't know. So now the angle they're going to run is with Felicity and Laurel, Black Siren, whatever she is now, has a bunch of data and information on Slabside and all the dirt they've done. And so they're going to potentially use that to try to get Oliver released. So I think they're going to probably try to go that angle as opposed to the whole Oliver breaks out of prison, because there was a moment in the episode where Oliver could escape with Talia, and he said he doesn't want to escape prison because if he does, he will remain a fugitive for the rest of his life, which is a complete change from the storylines in the comic books, because he does escape prison. We'll see. Legends of Tomorrow. Legends is getting better and better. This week they did a camp that was being haunted by a spirit that was pretty much taking energy a la Sleepwalkers, the Stephen King movie. But here's some of the dope things that happened. One, we learned that Swamp Thing exists within the Arrowverse, and he was mentioned originally by Constantine. He says, yeah, I know a Swamp Thing, but that bloke wouldn't come this way. So will we start seeing the Justice League Dark? Who knows? But also, there was a movie in which Ava and Sarah were watching. It was called Swamp Thing. And I say thing because it got all them A's. That was a unique twist. Ray not in the Atom suit. Now, this is something I've talked about many times on this podcast, and I've talked on many other podcasts about a lot of these heroes who get cast in the roles. They're excited to do the role. They're happy to be this hero. They're happy to play these iconic characters, but yet they don't want to be in the suits. Like, yo, that's what people cast you for, to be in the suit. You got to suck that shit up, bro. I understand that, yes, these suits are not all as comfortable as we on the outside may think. We might think, oh, these suits look so dope. They should be form-fitting. They should be comfortable. You can move around and everything. Well, again, I always reference when I talk with Cress Williams of Black Lightning. He says it takes him about a half an hour to get in a suit. So, but that goes back to my Grant Gustin, how Grant didn't want to wear the suit. And like, yo, bro, they cast you as the Flash to wear that suit. You wear the suit for him. But who knows? It was cute, though, seeing how they did. Constantine conjured up a spell that allowed Ava and Sarah to turn the younger girls to talk to the girls that they were mentoring in the camp as counselors to find out information. And because Ava's character is a clone and she never had a childhood, and so now she got to have one, and it was kind of cute. I get it. I admit it was nice. Amaya, who is now officially Charlie, she's another character, is now getting into her role, and she's going to help on the Wave Rider. And she hasn't ran out of Nate yet, because Nate still thinks she gone in Africa. She probably banging some dude who, got a redwood in the Nigerian forest in between his legs, and he can't hang with that, so he ain't been on the Wave Rider, and Sarah ain't told him nothing, so we'll see what happens with that. I didn't get a chance to catch the Flash. Past couple of days have been super hectic. Black Lightning just made me cry. To see Gambi die in the opening scene, spoiler alert, by the way, Gambi dies within the opening 5 minutes of the show, and you think maybe, you hear Jefferson Pierce like, yo, this is Gambi. His backup plans got backup plans. His contingent plans got contingency plans. And everybody else is starting to accept the fact that he's gone. And it takes to the very end when Lynn gives Jefferson the pocket watch he gave to Gambi. And Jefferson snaps like, yo, why'd you take it out of Gambi's shop? Blah, blah, blah. He takes it back. Come to find out he gave Gambi the pocket watch. And Jefferson breaks down, and I'll admit, I broke down in all of the tears. Okay, I was in all of the damn tears. So it's gonna be interesting to see where this goes as they go further, man. That really hurt me. But some news about Black Lightning: they're moving to a new night come this Monday in January, they're going to go to Mondays. They're going to take the place of Legends of Tomorrow because, as you know, Legends of Tomorrow always takes a mid-season break now. So Legends will go off after the crossover, and they will come back in April, I believe it is. And while they're gone, Black Lightning will take their place on Monday nights after Arrow. So this should be a nice primetime slot for them. I'm looking very much forward to that. Let's get into Titans real quick. Titans was pretty dope for me. You know what? I didn't think I was going to get into it fully. There are some things I still don't rock with Titans. I don't rock with Robin's suit at all. I don't like it. I think they need to figure out something too with Beast Boy. This whole he has to get naked in order to change into an animal, and the only animal he can change into is a tiger. That's growing old real quick. You're going to have to evolve that. I think the fact that the story of this show completely centers around Raven, it's like, yo, figure out some other shit. Who's the head bad guy and all this? Raven's going to control the powers eventually, and where does the jewel come in? I'm so confused. We also got the Titans found out that Dick is Robin in this, and we got the introduction to Jason Todd. We'll see how much further that goes on this week's episode. All right. That is pretty much the recaps I wanted to get into for the shows. Like I said, some have been worthwhile. They've been easy to catch on to, but everything for me right now supersedes the passing of the legendary Stan Lee. Stan Lee passed away on Monday at the age of 95 due to complications of pneumonia. Now, let me just call it for what it is. Yes, this shit is sad. Yes, we knew he was going to go. Stan Lee was 95. There was no surprise or shock. Stan Lee was 95 years old. So stop acting like, he's not gone too soon. But also, people, stop acting like assholes when people express their condolences on how much that man created characters who influenced and changed their lives. Me included. Yo, without that man, we wouldn't have Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, the X-Men, things like that. So stop acting brand new when you see people, giving out their sentiments of how he changed their lives. And also, the Army Hammer, who was an asshole, was like, oh, it's so nice to see celebrities taking pictures, showing pictures with Stan Lee and making it about themselves. They're not making it about themselves, you dick. You pompous asshole. What they're doing is they're showing their respect. They had a moment with Stan. It meant a lot to them. And they're showing their pictures to reflect on that moment. You're mad because nobody puts fucking pictures up with you, dude. That's what that is. You're mad because of that. I just don't get it. I just don't fucking get it. But nonetheless, man, let's get into it right now, man. This is the memorial of sorts. The conversation I had with comedian Thom Tran, actor and host comedian Jose Sarduy. We talked about this. It was also featured on the Sex Jokes and Rock and Roll podcast. So here it goes for you guys right now.
By Stan Lee. Of course, he created X-Men, Iron Man, Thor, Black Panther, Ant-Man. Just the list goes on and on. I wanted to talk about Stan, who died today, November 12th, 2018. Fitting because it's Veterans Day observed. Veterans Day, of course, being yesterday. But Stan, a lot of people didn't know, was a World War II Army vet. Did you know that?
I didn't.
He was his official MOS in the Army, military occupational specialty, was playwright.
What?
So we'll go through.
I mean, he loves.
Yeah.
Robin Williams and Good Morning Vietnam. That's like
So
what'd you do in the Air Force? I was on the radio.
Yeah. Stan Lee, he wrote a lot of the training manuals for the military. And there was one, he told a story the one time I met him. He wrote a anti-STD training manual for soldiers because during World War II, there was a big problem. Soldiers going to Europe, just fucking banging their way across France. And there was a real STD problem, a big gonorrhea problem. So he was writing training manuals because he was a comic book guy. He was a writer. And
I just want to see the comic book describing, this is your penis with a condom.
I've been trying to find one of those forever, and I would love to buy one. I would frame that shit.
We were the greatest generation. Is that right?
Is that?
You had a gonorrhea problem, as far as I can tell.
You talk about these days, youth just fucking everywhere. What were you doing, Gramps?
So Stan Lee, born Stanley Martin Lieber, December 28th, 1922.
It was like two what?
Yeah, 1922. Of course, he was a writer, editor, producer, editor-in-chief at Marvel. Created, like we said, Spider-Man, Hulk, Doctor Strange, Fantastic Four, Daredevil, Black Panther, X-Men, Ant-Man. So, just so many. so influential to everybody.
And so woke. He was woke before the term woke was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And people will be like, what do you mean by that? The X-Men, plain and simple.
I know. And all those characters and the struggle of the characters of the X-Men being the outcast of society.
Being minorities.
Yeah.
And Professor X and Magneto being Martin Luther King and Malcolm X.
Yeah.
And so, like, he was a, as people would call, a social justice warrior before there was one. He was always speaking out. He was a Jewish man. He
Changed his name.
He changed his name because he was Jewish. He knew he wouldn't have the opportunities using his birth name. So
he picked an Asian name. That was a good idea.
I mean, who's gonna argue about an Asian that draws?
So many reasons that I love Stanley. Picked an Asian name.
That's right.
1942, joined the Army, became a member of the Signal Corps, which I was. I was a signal weenie, as we call them. Communications sergeant is what I did. But he repaired telephone poles and other communication equipment, which is what I did in the Army initially until I did other things.
Sounds like if he'd had the option, he'd have joined the Air Force. But, there wasn't one yet. So
He was later transferred to the training film division. He worked on writing manuals, training film slogans, and occasionally cartooning. His military classification says playwright, and adds that only 9 men in the U.S. Army were given that title.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
So probably, those stories like of Mr. Rogers, he was a sniper. Stanley probably didn't like knife nobody or, you know what I mean?
Could you imagine Stan Lee got bodies under him? Like, you don't know the shit I've seen.
All the stories he ever wrote were based on true stories.
That's right.
He was like, so the one time I'm in the Canadian wilderness and I got to track down a guy that smells like a cat with my feather pencil.
Let me tell you something. We had this guy. He turned green looked like he turned green every time he got mad.
He ate shit one time and just turned green. His face was terrible. In the 50s, DC Comics editor Julius Schwartz revived the superhero archetype, updated the Flash and later the team, the Justice League of America. In response, Martin Goodman signed Stan Lee to come up with a new team, and that team was
the Avengers.
So Lee took that advice, and he teamed up with Jack Kirby, actually, and they created the Fantastic Four, and just so on and so on.
Marvel and DC been going tit for tat for damn near over half a century.
I saw Stan Lee on. I got the DC Universe app, and I saw Stan Lee on a DC documentary about Superman. I'm like, what is this motherfucker doing on the DC network?
Well, it probably influenced everybody. I think it's interesting the direction, the different directions they took, DC and Marvel.
Yeah.
Right. Like the other, the minority, the teen angst, all of that was more present in the Marvel side of it, in their heroes, because like Superman is from another world,
but he stands for truth, justice, and the American way.
Right. Well, he was raised in Kansas. So, you know what I mean?
So that makes sense.
I mean, that's what they feed you there. And Wonder Woman is this goddess, and Batman is rich. So the everyman aspect of the heroes on the DC side is not as present as it is in the Marvel side. Marvel side is a teenage kid who's trying to, go to school and be a superhero. It's like that juggling thing is much more prevalent on Marvel. I mean, obviously you have Thor, who's a god, but even the presentation of gods was, he's got a father, Odin's his dad, and he's got to answer to him. It's like, you're the son, and there's all this expectation on you. Marvel really focused on that a lot more than DC did, and so it was much more approachable as like people imagining they were Spider-Man.
And if you ask anybody,
like, I'm Cuban, but I still would, like, I can make a spider boat, like
I still to this day, as long as I've been knowing you, I'm like, yes, Sarduy is fucking Cuban. Like, he's like me, but he looks like the other. He's a minority, but he gets the pass.
I get to sneak in and bring you information.
That's true,
like,
right?
Hey, they're not planning our destruction.
Not yet, just not.
Yeah.
And if you ask anybody their connection to Spider-Man, and it's always the same thing. I can relate to being that nerdy kid or that outcast kid who has to deal with these regular problems of homework, being home on time, girls, liking girls, them not liking me, the bully picking on me.
Right.
And and on the other end of it, well, Peter Parker is, it's a superhero. But for us growing up, we feel like even our littlest problems are like fucking taking on Galactus.
Right.
And I think that's what Stan Lee really tweaked into. He knew that. He knew that was what, I mean, he said, oh, we were just trying to make comic books and try to get the rent paid and, sell books. But I think he knew.
Again, when he introduced the Black Panther in...
always back to the Black Panther.
You goddamn right I will. In issue 52 of Fantastic Four.
If there was a Cuban Marvel character, I would bring him up too.
Is there not?
I don't think so.
There's a Japanese one, and
Wow.
it's about as close to me as possible.
Okay.
Listen, we got Speedy Gonzalez and Zorro. That's it in the Hispanic community.
Actually, no, you got America Chavez.
Who's that?
She's like a Captain America type deal, America Chavez.
That's recent, though, isn't it?
Yeah, she's recent.
Okay. But I mean, growing up,
Oh, yeah, growing up, you just...
I
yeah.
had Ricky Ricardo on TV. That was my superhero. Right?
Banging his way through redheads across the country.
Lucy! Like that, I mean, that was his power.
Fuck.
Right, but Black Panther, I understand. If I had a hero that was my guy, growing up, and you could like associate yourself with.
Yeah, because we grew up, as I grew up, before I knew of the Black Panther, I was reading Spider-Man, I was reading the X-Men, I was reading all these things, and I never had saw the Black Panther issues. And so I just knew superheroes looked like everybody else until somebody said, yo, check this one out. And I got a hold of this Fantastic Four when they introduced him. And I was like, well, damn. This is what I'm talking about. And I love that because it made a dude in Africa who's a king who's not beholden to anybody. He won't even let Tony Stark talk him down.
Right.
Talk down to him, excuse me. And so that was the character. But again, the things that Stan Lee did and the characters and how he was never apologetic for any character he created. He was, I stand by a dude, old white dude in a wheelchair that's got a bunch of mutants that are, he trains as students, you know what I'm saying, and his kids. I stand by a dude who was in the Holocaust, who kind of wants to kill humanity. I stand by that.
You kind of see his position.
I kind of understand where you came from, sir.
Yeah.
Do you remember Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends? It was
Spider-Man,
Yeah.
Firestar, and Iceman.
Right.
Yeah.
Who was the Japanese? There's an episode with a Japanese guy who had the same powers as Starfire. I want to say his name was Firestar, but it's not. At least it's not coming up. Do you remember that episode? She meets this Japanese student or entrepreneur or something, and it turns out he's got the same powers as she does the same thing, gets on a suit. It's like red, and it's got it looks like the colors of the Japanese flag. It's got red and white. But I want to say his name was Starfire. That's the first time I saw an Asian character on a cartoon, or like in most media, other than Kato. That series ended in the 60s. Yeah. Bruce Lee died in the late 60s, early 70s. I didn't see any Asian characters growing up. I watched Quick Kick from fucking G.I. Joe.
Right.
Right? There's Quick Kick.
Right.
But other than that, I didn't have any.
Ninja Turtles. They had to be.
But they were turtles.
Right. Like
they weren't slanty-eyed turtles. They were just turtles.
Dude, I had a fast mouse. Okay, it wasn't even Cuban. It was like I guess I could wear the hat.
You gotta be looking at this like, yo, who was that character?
Yeah, I want to say.
What I remember from the Super Friends, or like Spider-Man and the Super Friends, or whatever it was called, was that if you wanted to be a superhero, you need to have some fast mobility thing, which is why I never understood Hawkeye and Green Arrow. Like, how do they get around? They don't have any fast mobility. They can't be a hero.
That's why I'm glad they finally acknowledged Hawkeye with Jeremy Renner saying it in Age of Ultron. He was like, look, everybody around here, the island's floating. I got a bow and arrow.
What am I doing here?
What am I doing here?
What am I doing here? I can't. Unless I'm fucking making this up and I don't know who I'm talking about. This wasn't an actual character. They thought he was a bad guy at first. But it turns out he was a good guy. Anyway, Spider-Man was my first introduction to superheroes and Marvel characters. I mean, even before Batman, and I'm a huge Flash fan. I think the Flash is my guy. But Spider-Man was my first introduction to superheroes, to the point where for Christmas, for many, many years, I made my parents. Did you find it? Sunfire. All right, I knew it was. He also
isn't that also a Transformer?
No,
Starfire.
Okay. Sunfire. Yeah, Japanese character, right?
Yeah, it's a Japanese character.
And I think that's why I fell in love with that Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends cartoon, because I watch it now and it's not good. It's not good. But for years, I would make my parents buy me those chemical sets, like those chemistry sets. And for a long time, my parents were like, "Oh, he's gonna be a scientist."
They didn't know you were just trying to make webbing.
Just trying to make webbing. That's all I was doing. I would just use up all the shit in the there were like $25 chemistry sets at Toys R Us. My parents are like, "Oh, he's gonna be so smart. He's getting into science," and I'm just upstairs trying to fucking make goo to throw against the wall and stick to people. What was your the biggest takeaway you get from Stan Lee and from his characters?
Again, I go back to always him being alert of the situations around him, and him always being inclusive with all the the staff he had around him, the characters he brought to life. It was never focused on one thing. It was showing his thing was always showing the world is bigger than what we see in front of us. And so he always made that prevalent. Like you were saying earlier, Jose, with DC, how a lot of things, one of the, how their characters are based on just like, hey, this is a gritty thing. Superman's truth, justice, the American way. Batman's a rich man who tries to save his city. That was also a thing he did with Marvel. He made it lighter. If you ever notice, DC's always dark. Marvel has the light, colorful characters. Where more
Superman is light, but they have angsty,
Oh yeah, you do have.
But they're a minority. Their big dogs are not that. The big dogs in Marvel, Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the big ones. But they also have Iron Man.
Here's the thing about Iron Man. Iron Man was a C-level character until Robert Downey Jr. got a hold of him. You had even Captain America to be honest.
Yeah.
Captain America was a C-level character. You had Spider-Man, you had the Hulk, and you had the X-Men. Those were your
and Sunfire.
Sunfire. So that's what I get. He put characters that you normally wouldn't see in the forefront of different ethnicities and different groups.
The X-Men is just kids that had a mutation, made them different.
That made them
outcasts.
Which is, again, you can't control your DNA.
Right.
And you can't control how you're born.
Right.
Jose, what about you? What kind of impact did Stan and his characters, or is there a character that impacted you the most? I
mean, I remember when I first got into comics big time, I was a little older by the time it finally hit me, and then McFarlane's Spider-Man came out, and I was so drawn in, and that's when I first studied who made this character up and all that, and that's when I saw the history of Spider-Man, and this guy's made all of these people. And at first I thought Stan Lee drew all of them, and then I found out that's not true. But
wait, he didn't? What?
I didn't think he drew.
You know how many people are about to be crushed when they found out wait, Stan didn't draw?
No, he created them.
And
then someone else drew them and worked with him.
It's my God. One of my anchors today was reading the story, because after I broke the news, I just, hey, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But I broke the news. Hey, Stan Lee just died. So I told the producers, and then somebody wrote the story. And then I don't know who wrote this. And I'm sure it was a quick breaking news thing, but they didn't ask me as the nerd. And my anchor reads, here's the story, Marvel co-founder Stan Lee dead at 95. I almost had a heart attack. I'm like, you just caused a bunch of nerd accidents on the freeway saying some shit like that. Yeah. Anyway, so go ahead. Sorry.
Well, anyway, that was my first introduction into that big world, and I'd read a lot of DC and stuff, and it was not as gritty like what they did to Spider-Man. Spider-Man gets his ass whooped in almost every comic.
Yeah.
And then he finds a way to overcome it, right?
Yeah.
And so I really related to that. And that led me to my favorite hero, which is Spawn. And I mean,
without Stan Lee and Spider-Man, there's no Spawn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And without McFarlane putting that line out that blew him up, where he could start his own comic line, is really where it started. And so that is where I stuck my toe into comic books and got into it and started collecting them. And you go back and the quality of the comic books is almost like a newspaper comics back in the day. But if you like update it. Like now they've got them digitized.
Yeah, you can.
They're pretty great.
Yeah, when you look at them, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you don't put it in that cheap paper with that cheap ink,
you get to see all the detail, the colors, and everything pops out.
It stands out pretty great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Stanley, of course, passed away today. His wife passed away not long ago, and honestly, a lot of people were shocked that after she died.
I'm one of them.
I mean, he was 91 when she passed away.
And no, they'd been married like what, 40, 50 years?
69 years.
69 years. And they always say when you have couples that long, when one goes, it is not that long after the other one will. And so when he went past 3 months, I was like, hold on.
Yeah, Joan died July 6th, 2017. So just last year. But still, and she was 95. So she was robbing the cradle. Because Stan was younger. So
Stan was 95 when he died.
Yeah, she was 95 when she died last year.
Oh, so she was
She was a year older.
She's a year older, yeah. She's probably crazy. That's me, a young man.
He leaves a daughter and a net worth of about $50 million.
If we get on his daughter ain't shit. If you heard about what she was doing with his estate and everything,
no.
His daughter ain't shit. His daughter was signing his daughter and her legal. Was
that his daughter that was doing that?
That was his daughter too. Signing over a lot of his shit, and his money was going places he had no idea.
Man.
Yeah, man.
Well, we're not going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the man and the greatness of the man.
That's my choice to not have kids, man. Nobody. You know what? I'd rather some faceless lawyer fuck up my legacy
than a kid,
than a child I made.
Yeah, than somebody I made. Let me tell you something. To my son, if you hear this, you'll be 15 in a couple of weeks. Let me tell you this ahead of time. I will fuck you up.
I will haunt your shit.
I will be 87 years old, crawling, talking about some. I'll beat your ass.
All right. So of course, Stan appeared in lots of the almost all of the MCU.
Which one
films.
didn't he?
Well, I guess all the MCU movies, but not all the Marvel movies. Well, he wasn't in any of the X-Men movies.
Yes, he is.
Which ones?
A lot of times they do sneaky, like sometimes he's there and you see him real quick, or they do picture references.
Oh,
he is. Right. It's in his contract. He was in every single movie.
Okay, well, he was. He's also received the Inkpot Award, the Will Eisner Award Hall of Fame, the Jack Kirby Hall of Fame. The Saturn Award.
They'll probably have them in pictures on the rest of them. Maybe like a picture frame or something.
Yeah, that's what they do. Like Jessica Jones did a billboard recently. I think. What is your favorite? What is your favorite Stan Lee cameo?
Oh, it's when he's one of the Watchers.
It's the Watchers for you.
It's the Watchers.
You?
The one in the Hulk. The
drinking the.
No. The one where he's like, oh, was it the Hulk when he was? I am so fired. No, that's in Captain America.
Captain America.
When he steals the suit.
When he steals the suit at the end. For me, it's the end of Civil War when you have Iron Man and Rhodey's trying to walk again, and he's the FedEx delivery driver.
Oh, yeah.
Like Tony Stank. I got a package here for a Tony Stank. Well, they also say he has all his cameos filmed up for every single movie that's supposed to be coming out. That's set already.
Oh wow!
So because they knew he was getting older, and so you wanted to keep him in. So I know for a fact he has his Captain Marvel, he has his Avengers. We don't have anything technically set, but I think they did a bunch of them just because they have his cameo set. So he'll still be in movies for at least maybe a year or two. He's got his Far From Home one, so about a year. A year, 2 years, he's got his cameos set.
When older people like that die, man, I like to remind people. Like my grandfather's 101. He's gonna be 102 in May. I mean, he doesn't know that, but he's still around.
Right.
So you got to really enjoy family.
Oh, absolutely.
When they're around. My dad is frustrated that his memory's going, and he's a little bit aggressive with him, and I'm like, he's still around. Just take what you got. You know what I mean? He could be gone. It could be just a memory, but instead you still have
the physical.
And every so often he pops out of it and he's there and he's fully aware of who he is, and his a lot of his memories are back. So when you got people in your life like that, when we had Stan, right? We enjoyed having him around. So that's what I recommend when these moments happen. Like take your old folks and be like, I'm so happy you're here.
I remember seeing him at LA Comic-Con last year, and people were wanting to take pictures and everything. and he was taking every single picture he could. Anybody would come on, take a picture.
Wow.
His handlers had to be like, you need to go eat.
Right.
He was like, okay, come on, let's take these other pictures. They had to pull him away, and that was how much he enjoyed giving back. If it was just that small amount, just taking a picture meant the world to fans, and he knew that.
Didn't Prince say that one time? He's like, would I be Prince without my fans?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he used to do that.
Prince would always
he would stand around and just
come
sign,
take a picture.
Yeah, as long as he wanted.
Want to touch the glitter, touch the purple.
Did you ever get a chance to meet Stan?
I was trying that one time I saw him at Comic-Con. I was this close, and by the time I was about to talk to him, they pulled him to go eat, and I was like, "This is a 93-year-old man. He needs to eat." So I never had the direct chance to talk to him. I would love to have interviewed him because I think I would have lost my mind with all the questions I would have asked him, like, just different things, his inspiration for a lot of characters and whatnot. But there are memories to cherish. He's given us something that will make him last. His memory and his legacy is going to last forever because he's given something that is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Did you ever get a chance to meet him?
I did not. No. I when I first saw him in the movies, I was like, oh, that's Stan Lee. It was a name to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't even a person who I would have been able to recognize on the street. And so when I'm glad they did the cameos because I never did get to meet him, but I would have actually, hey, I know who that is.
Did you all ever see the Key and Peele sketch they did about Stan Lee?
No.
It's Stan Lee going to work at Marvel, and he's pitching ideas. It's a sketch. You can find it online. He's pitching ideas for new characters. And they're some of the most old and outdated characters, though. Like, he has a dude named What Happened Man, something like that. He has the old black man named Jamila, who's known for stealing shit. Jordan Peele was hilarious with it because then Marvel's like, we can't use these ideas, Stan. He was like, I've got it, because it's a table of kids. He's like, I got it. A ragtag group of teenagers who find themselves in the unemployment line. They're called the Fireballs. Everybody's like, well, we love all the ideas you had before. Because they say Stan was still trying to do that.
Yeah.
But he was still like trying to go in Marvel, like, I got ideas. Which you got to give that man credit all for that. Like, yo, fuck you talking about that. Hey, look, I got a character. This guitar, he grows legs, right? And he lives.
Have you ever seen his his Star on the Walk of Fame?
I don't even know where it is.
It's in front of the Live Nation building on Hollywood Boulevard. It's 7072 Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, I know. I know what Live Nation.
Hollywood Boulevard, I should say. And if you ever come to LA, anybody, if you want to see that, it's in front of the Live Nation building on Hollywood Boulevard, down the street from all the theaters and all that stuff, in front of Live Nation.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to have that. That joyous celebration with those fellas, man. Listen, I got to get ready to get up out of here, but you always know, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. J Washington. That's MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington. Check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JAY Washington80. I got new content coming up soon. Things have been hectic. It's just me, y'all. So I'm trying to get more stuff up there, all right? My website, jwashington.com, has my upcoming performances and dates and everything of the sort. If you want to sponsor, I did do at one point, we did Patreon. I don't want to do that. Just email me directly, jay@jwashington.com, to get all the sponsorship information and packages. I will get that out to you, all right? With that being said, I will holler at you later. Thank you for checking out episode 10 of the Mad Titan Podcast. I'll holler at you next week. Take care. I'm out of here. Peace.